Welcome to Color Me Happy. My name is Brandy Hofer. I am your host. Thank you so much for being here today. We chat with Erika Lee Sears, which I was just like tickled pink. Is that a saying? That she said yes, and I'm so excited because I just like her so much and want her to be my new friend. And after the 4 hours we spent on the day that we recorded this, I'm pretty sure I can call her one. Secondly, we are together in a panel on the Art Queens this week, which I am heading and writing right now. I'm super pooped because I just recorded my audiobook, which took 7 hours, and I'm still not even close to being done. Turns out you can't make mistakes on an audiobook like you can on a podcast. And as you know, I make a fuckload of mistakes all the time. So, I'm really excited about the panel that I'll be hosting on the Art Queens with Erika, and it'll be super special. It's all about finding your mantra and finding your fire and just, fighting our way through the art world. But I want to tell you a little bit about Erika before you tune into this episode. You'll find out all about her, but she's super cool. She's super fun, and she's a self-taught oil painter, born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Oregon? I'm not from the States. Oregano. She has work on the television show, and that's why my book did not work out today. It worked out, but it took a long time. You can find Erika's work on the television show Portlandia and the first season of Significant Mother, the Brooklyn Art Library, and the cover for Lana Del Rey. She's a cool cat, and I can't wait for you to hear this. Enjoy, friend. We'll just go. We'll just keep going.
That sounds great. See what happens. I'm
having a great time already.
Yeah.
Welcome, Erika Lee Sears, to my podcast. To Color Me Happy. Yeah. So we already started talking and we dove in. So we're gonna keep going. So we just got our beverages and we're just having a little date here. And we started talking about Ekaterina Popova, our mutual friend Kat, and how she should have a giant conference so we can all come.
Oh, she is like, I've known her for a really long time, and she's a very special person. The thing is as artists, you realize like how you need to connect with more people that advocate for artists. And she's an advocate, and she's positive and makes beautiful work, and she's just a really beautiful soul. I only have great, wonderful, positive things to say about her because she's such a great person. She's so.
I too. Actually,
great.
You had said something you'd said something on a podcast. Somewhere. You've been on a few. So, I think it was a podcast because you've been in I'm a member of the Art Queens, so I've seen you there, sure. But also just in general. And you had said, Kat, you had said this wonderful, kind thing about Kat, and she didn't hear it. And we were voicing the other day on Instagram, like a voice memo. And I had told her what you said, and you said something along the lines of, someone asked you to name your favorite female artist, something like that. And you had said Kat, and you said she's extremely talented. Her work is stunning, and I'm a huge fan of hers. But you also said not only that, as she is like a really savvy businesswoman. And she hadn't heard that compliment, and she was so excited that she's like, I did not know that she said that about me. That is so great to hear.
No, she slays for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But like the kindness and openness and the way she allows everyone to, share their accomplishments and the overall mindset of that there is enough for everyone, right?
Right. Well, this is the truth. The truth is, and I'm just gonna say it. I don't know if I can cuss on this podcast, but there are a lot of assholes in the art world, and there's a lot of assholes when you start out. There's a lot of not nice people, and life is too short to not be cool and kind to people. You have to be tough in business, like on the business side of things. Like you have to be tough and like make sure you're not getting taken advantage of, and you're making sure you're getting your worth. But like you need to be like I don't know, like you have to be kind to other people, and there's room for us all. We all need each other. There's so much beautiful art to be made and seen. And, like if anyone ever comes to me with like questions, I always take the time. I always um, like my latest thing is like I've been meeting new people on TikTok, and I'll make friends, and they're like, oh, I'm interested in oil painting, so I'll send them some oil painting supplies because I'm good friends
Oh
with
my gosh,
people
that's
at
super sweet.
gambling. Oh yeah, because when I started, it was like you're just on your own, and it's like you would ask questions and you would get crickets, or people would keep what they're doing such a secret, and like how they're providing for themselves and their different channels of making money with their artwork. And the thing is there are so many different ways to support yourself as an artist, and it shouldn't be taboo to talk about it. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
take away from the value of what you're doing to make a living at what you do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I put my heart and my soul in my work, and like I value my collectors like immensely. Like I'm so grateful for their support. But there's no shame in wanting to provide for yourself.
Oh, exactly. And you know what? I had actually, I had wanted to reach out to you for a while, and that exact thing gave me the fire and the just like, you know what? Fuck it. She seems super friendly. I'm gonna message her. I'd love to chat with her. And it was sparked by someone being very cruel to me.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like it's just not I mean it's like life's too short, you know? So
Yeah,
like that's why I'm saying like Kat, she's awesome people, and like in the art queens, like I will always like if I see it, like the thing is I miss stuff all the time. So if I don't see it, like I don't see it, but when I see it, I always like respond, and I always, like
ditto.
people in the art queens, like I'll say something and they're like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like, well, of course, why wouldn't I say something? Like if I
Yeah.
see it, of course. Like
Yeah, totally. If I didn't message you back, it was an accident.
yeah. Oh,
um,
because like sometimes you
it's a
don't see
lot.
it because Instagram hides it, you know?
Yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot. But on the
So if this
topic
is your
of,
sign to message someone and connect with someone, whoever's listening, this is your sign.
yeah,
The
do
worst
it.
case, they'll ignore you, and it's not meant to be. So don't sweat
Yeah,
it.
totally. I 100% agree. So I actually had, it was a female in the art world, unfortunately, and it kind of, well, it pissed me off. And I want to start like an in general conversation with not only female creatives, but the main reason why she decided that I didn't belong was the fact that I was a mother and that I shared the fact that my children are in my studio with me. And I'm a full-time parent, so I don't have a choice. Plus, I love it. It's
I'm
like
sorry. I'm
super.
sorry.
I
I think
know
some people just don't get it.
it was crappy, but she really didn't get it. She didn't look into my work. She didn't, um, you know, yeah, it was an unfortunate conversation. And after I came out of it, I realized that the things she told me I couldn't do, I actually literally have already done. And I'm like, this is makes it a little bit laughable. And why I was humoring her conversation. Like, why was I giving her my time? Because she's like, a gallery will never represent you when they see what you're doing. And like, I'm like, dude, I already have been represented by several galleries and I'm currently in a solo show right now. Like, did you look at anything I'm doing? Like,
Yeah, but you don't have like I think the thing is you don't have to defend yourself to that
no. And
because
I was just
yeah,
sitting there like absorbing what she was
yeah.
saying. And then she's like, you definitely need to remove artists from your website and you could probably sell like diapers and wine from your Instagram. Holy
I
shit.
think here's the thing is
Holy shit.
I think some people are trying to come from a nice place, but
Mm.
it's I think they just don't like I think I've had so many people tell me no, and so many people say like not nice things to me, or like people like not support what I'm doing, especially like people that were close to me. And or I call them like phony people, or and it I think the thing is when you are super passionate about what you're doing and excited, and when they just don't see it and don't get it. And I
Mm.
think like that sucks. Like I'm going to tell you this too. I had this Instagram account reach out to me and they want to do a collaboration with me. They have a very large account, like several million followers, like big deal. I mean, they make people and or help people, I should say. And they were like, "Yeah, we'd love to work with you. We want to do this project and like for social media and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Okay, great." And so they're like, "Hey, why don't you write out your outline and pitch me your idea?" And part of that was having my kids be involved in the project because they want to do like a day in the life and like, I mean, those are such cute videos. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm a mother and I want, and they were like, yeah, you should focus on your art and not really put your kids. And I, got really fueled by that. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to work for me because I
Mm.
think my kids are a part of my practice. Like they're in my studio, they're allowed to be in here, they're allowed to make a mess. Um, and I think it's really like, I'm just going to say it, it's kind of like chauvinistic, because I mean, we're all multifaceted, we're all like trying to make it work. And I also want to inspire my children and I want them to see me work and I want them to see what I'm doing. And it really, I don't know if I want to say it hurt my feelings because it did, but it also just showed me like kind of like how close-minded some people are with like mothers.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
maybe that person just didn't understand like what was happening. Um, because there's like what I'm learning is there's so many different types of galleries. There's so many different types of like levels to galleries. There's like the black chip galleries, there's the community galleries. There's just so many different levels. And like I think she was probably trying to come from a good place, but it didn't sound that way to you because it
Yeah, I
didn't
think
have
she
any
was
empathy.
genuinely trying to give me advice, but
Hmm.
in the meanest way.
Yeah.
Uh, like she was trying to tell me what she knew of the art world. And part of it wasn't wrong. Like part of what she was saying was not wrong. We are fiercely unrepresented, not just as mothers, but as females.
Yeah, the women artists,
And
it's tough.
she just didn't pick up on, I said several times in the conversation that I'm a part of many mastermind groups and paint groups and
Well, that's how we
female
network. Yeah.
artist groups that are trying to actually change those statistics in the art world. We're working together to, knock the fucking walls down. Like,
Yeah.
and she just didn't quite pick up on that exact vibe from me. And,
Hmm.
she's just not my person. And
Yeah.
freeing up the space for people who do lift you up and who do support you, and finding your people and people who will support you and reach out. And when you say no, like you did, it creates that space and that energy. So when people when similar situations happen to you, how do you use that? Do you turn it into like, does it like make you angry, or like how do you fuel that? How do you channel it into productivity, or how do you turn that around?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say like it for me it's a little deeper, I think, because like my parents didn't really understand what I'm doing. Like, I mean, just recently my dad said congratulations after, a couple of projects that I was working on, but for a really long time, like even to this day, my parents would be like, you can't make a living as an artist. Like, I don't know, that's a good thing to do on the side. Like, don't,
Yeah, that's
you need to
deep
focus
rooted.
on this other stuff. And, so I didn't even go to my first art museum until I was in my 20s. I didn't think I could pursue art. I didn't think art was an option. I didn't know of any artists growing up. My group of friends growing up, like they were awesome people, but they just weren't into the arts. Um, so I think for me, I realized that my husband said this to me. He goes, your parents are never really going to get what you do. Like they're never going to get it. And that really hurts. But at the same time, it made me realize like, well, I have to believe in myself. I have to be my own advocate. I have to take my own chances. I have to work, really hard if I want this, because I'm not going to have a support system or people that are going to believe in me. Like even when I first like was thinking about quitting my job, my husband was like, Erica, like, I mean, because I was working in finance, and he's like, I like money. you know and you're picking one of the hardest industries to get in. And and we made a plan to like let me have my shot at becoming an artist and like working at it.
But I think the thing is you have to really think about what's in your soul and what's in your inside, and like really become your own advocate, because it takes a really long time, at least for me, to find people that are really gonna like help me get to where I want to go with my artwork.
So you gotta go get it. But I have a question for you. My question is, so what art groups are you in? I'd love to hear more.
So originally I was part of Thrive. It was like a Canadian based. And then they like switched it up from like the pods to, so I'm still a member of my original Thrive group. We kept it running after they stopped running the groups, but they still have memberships. And then of course the Art Queens, and then I meet with a few ladies like Sarah SD Artifacts is her.
I'll have to look into her.
She's from Pittsburgh. She shows with Paradigm Gallery in the States. Yeah, she does these like cloaked mother figures.
Cool.
So I basically like weaseled my way. I'm just like, hi, I'd like to come paint with you guys. You don't get anything if you don't ask for it. So I occasionally pop into their group and paint. And what else? Oh, I just recently became, and I don't know why I put this one off for so long, Artist Mother, the Artist Mother group.
Oh, yeah.
Kaylin, like, obviously.
So, like, yeah, they are so sweet and kind, and I love what they're doing.
Yeah. So I'm like, why have I not been? So I did do that this week, and I'm really excited about it, just because, I was afraid of the monthly membership, like all of my memberships kind of like adding up. And to like, it's I'm still a stay-at-home parent with depending on my studio practice. So that
it's hard to figure out what's worth it.
I've always made enough to, pay for groceries and whatever. I'll make the extra $11 a month. It's just like, the old cheapy me was like, oh, I gotta watch it. And my studio manager was like, if you think about it in regard to like networking and going out for drinks and taking people for lunches, and she's like, this is your version of networking, and actually it's much more affordable than the old way of like physically marketing. So I'm like, yeah, when you look at it that way, that's definitely, so I'm really excited.
It's true. Like, I think they're good. Like, I'll tell you which ones I'm in on. And I'm always looking for new groups and meeting new people, because I feel like, I don't know, I always like meeting new people and seeing, I love hearing what everyone's working on and what everyone's doing. And I love, I don't know, I just love all that.
It's a way to fill your social cup.
Yeah.
Right?
And especially in COVID, it's tough. Art Queens is great.
I'm a member of the Art Brand Alliance, and they are a group of artists that that it's kind of more about like, if you're trying to get into like learning about like licensing and royalties and all that stuff. So it's run by a woman named Betsy, and her husband's an art lawyer. So you can, like, if you need help with like contracts and stuff, he's your dude. I have several friends that use him, and I've met so many amazing people that are like illustrators, designers, surface designers. So I think it kind of depends on where you want to go with your artwork ultimately. And me, I love working with brands. I love doing collabs. Like, I have some really cool stuff coming for this year, like so exciting. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait.
Can you tell me any of those things?
One is a secret. I have two that are secrets. That I'm under NDA. And then I have one that I kind of announced in my stories, that I did a cookbook cover for a chef in the UK, and she's like a fancy pastry chef, and it's beautiful, and that comes out in a couple months.
That is exciting.
Yes, I'm excited because I'm like, and her name is Anna Higham, and she is a pastry chef for the River Cafe in London, and it's,
that's huge. Good for you. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I was like, really? Me? Okay. And I'm like, okay, so if I know it's COVID, but if you need me to come and taste test, I'm available. I love to eat.
I will
didn't
be
care about
there.
anything else. I was like, okay. So with recipe testing, when do we I need to understand how I need some inspiration to
Yeah,
come
I
up with
need
the
to
cover.
research this. I remember I got this big commission for who's the surfer? Andy, I don't know, a big surfer, like this giant surfer painting thing, because I
That's
do
cool.
portraiture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended
And I've
up
seen are you doing resin and stuff too? Is that what
yeah,
you're
I
working
have
on?
like, oh, where is she? Oh,
Yeah, I
here's the
saw that
sister
today.
back there. Yeah, that I just started this
It's
collect.
gorgeous.
Okay,
I saw it
I'll
on
start
Insta
from the
today.
beginning of that story after.
Sure.
But I ended up going to Hawaii that year and taking surf lessons and actually meeting this famous surfer's old friend, because he's passed away, but like I met someone who, so I was like, sweet, I get to just write out these surf lessons because literally it's research for this project.
Oh yeah.
It was so crazy how the universe works that like I go halfway around the world and meet someone who grew up with this person. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. I've recently last year I shifted my practice to not do custom orders. Like it's hard to say no.
Commissions?
Like yeah, like it's hard
Mm.
to say no, like especially when it's a collaboration
Trust
or
me,
something.
it is. Commissions are tough to say no. I'm deep. I have about a weight of about 6 right now, and
I
I'm
was
just
doing
like,
6 to 10 a month.
oh, I can't do that. Okay,
Yeah.
that's when you. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. That's when you need to increase your price. For
I know.
sure.
I'm a mentor and I tell artists that all the time. I was like, I was knee deep in this and I didn't like shift anything because I had just raised my prices. And then it was just a year and I ended up doing 130 pieces and I was so burnt out. I was like, I have to change something because financially I was like, this was not enough for the effort.
Especially if you're doing big work, like large work,
Yeah.
And the reason, and I'm going to say this because I know people get weird about talking about finance stuff with artists, but here's the thing is if you're burnt out, you're not making your best work. So you need to increase your price so that you can put all that love, joy, energy, all the, snap, crackle, pop energy into like those amazing pieces.
Such the magic
because I only do maybe like last year I did a lot. I did like 30, which is a lot for me.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I have 6 that are in so far this year, and I'm already like, okay. And I love commissions, but what's hard is like I think commissions take you way longer because it's like the back and the forth, and you want to make sure that you're collaborating well with your collector.
That's true. And also, like, I feel like it can make you tiny bit avoid your studio. You're like, yeah, I should finish the commissioner work on it. And you're like,
yeah. Well, and I'm really particular too. Like, I'm really particular about like, supplies, making sure I have like the best supplies, and I have like a woodworker in town that helps me and like with my panels, and I'm just really I want to make sure it like looks like how I'm envisioning it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
Definitely raise your prices. I mean,
I did.
Yeah.
I
mean, 130 is a lot.
Yeah. I actually, and I just couldn't paint for a while. I started my podcast and I started writing a book and I started
congratulations writing a book.
And murals. Like I got really into murals. My book is almost finished and I want to get it. I just can't you have to decide on the title. So I'm just like, what should it be called? I have like 11 and it's a big decision because like the way it shows up.
Do you already have a publisher or are you working with an agent?
No, I'm self-publishing because it's really.
You can always go pitch it if you're interested in like getting a publisher.
Yeah,
they'll take your meeting.
Yeah, I actually thought so. Publishers. I did look into that. And as far as Canadian publishers go, nothing against them. And I actually was on a book cover this year, my artwork. But
congratulations.
Thanks. And I was thinking of approaching them, but all of the book publishers I have
more of a network than the Canadian publishers. So I was like,
Sure.
I think at this point, if I self-publish and I think it's a good way, like it's a good starting point, and it could lead into more opportunities and just like get it out there. And then who knows what'll happen after. And in terms of creative control, it's a lot of really like there's some personal, but obviously I want to lift people up and support them and then show them how they can too. The subtitle is Seeing Your Everyday Ordinary is Extraordinary, which I think is super sweet because people have been locked at home. So I want to help them, enjoy their everyday because life is just ultimately too short.
So I was thinking about doing a book too, but I took a different approach. I was approached to do a book and they were like, okay, why don't you, when you pitch something, usually they give you like the requirements. And so what I did instead was I just started emailing my like agents that I'd want to work with or like publishers. And I took a couple of meetings and I realized I was not ready to do a book for me. But I'm just saying, if you're thinking about it and you want to go to that next place, like you can just like have a couple meetings. Like they will take your meeting. They will listen.
Really?
Oh,
I don't know.
Even big deal people. Like I'll tell you. I mean, like people I thought would not send me message me back, But then at the same time, you see,
if you want to have a relationship with them, because you got to sign an editor and all that stuff.
It's a long process.
If you're thinking about it, you just email them and just say, hey, I have this, you say, I got your information. I love what you do and, blah, blah, blah. And I have this book and I'd love to talk to you about it. Can we set up a meeting? And I promise you,
they will do it.
Interesting.
Promise.
Yeah, I mean, again, they can just
don't be afraid.
Not answer back or just say no. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen?
No, they will. They will.
Yeah,
I've never had anyone not take a meeting.
Really?
Because there's always a chance.
Yeah.
And so they'll always be like, all right, well, listen. And then they'll give you some advice or whatever, say they want to work around it or, maybe even give you an offer. But I think what's interesting is if you are going into that world, definitely find someone you connect with, definitely. But I promise you, they will take your meetings, even the ones that you think are really big deals.
Crazy. Yeah, actually, so my neighbors across the street, they run this big, it's called Home Hardware. You probably don't know what that is because it's Canadian. So it's a big chain, like hardware, whatever. Home Hardware, yeah. So a construction sort of like building supply company. But they've taken it like next level, like with a cafe and like made it not what it is. Like they hold like women things and like big things there. They like taken it to the next level. And she has so she's part owner with her family and she's like spoken at Facebook and like they have like really, gone for it. So she actually got not published yet, but she's taken under the wing of Random House, like Penguin Random House, and her children's books. And so it's kind of cool to see. And then her husband has a bestseller on Amazon for business. It's called Clone Yourself. It's about like business management. And so it was really like a few years ago he did that. And I was like, Jeff, really? So I was like,
yeah. I mean, you can ask them who their editor is, or like, or you could even look up who like, you can just like look up in your favorite art books, like who the editor is. And I promise you, they will take your meeting.
Wow.
Like,
thanks, Erika.
I promise.
I promise.
I've never had someone just be like, no. I mean, I've gotten the runaround a few times where they're just like late or they reschedule or whatever. But then I realize that's not the relationship that I want. But like at the end of the day, like they're always looking for that next book. They're always looking for that next person. And so that could be you. And whoever's listening, that could be you. And the same with galleries, that's same with approaching businesses. Like they need people like us. Always
the creative magic. There's no doubt. Like
it's true.
I've got a lot of that.
It is true.
Thank you. I will definitely.
You can do it. I believe in you. I mean, I never thought any of the stuff that happens to me would happen to me. But I think you have to just be like like you have to take your dreams and like put and you have to like dream even bigger than that, because like the only like I was saying at the beginning of the conversation, is the only person that's going to be your advocate is yourself. And if you don't think it's within you, it's not going to happen.
You are your own best advocate, because no one's going 100. To feel and communicate and be as passionate about what you're doing than you. You know what I mean?
Right. And go. I mean, go and get it. You know.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
You can do it. I believe in you. You can do it.
I'll tell you one thing. It's a lot more time consuming than I anticipated.
Oh, writing a book? Oh, 100.
I was like, I'll have it done. Last year I was like, I'll have it done ready for Mother's Day.
You don't even need to have it done to go pitch to an agent. You know, you don't even have to have it done. If you have like a couple of chapters, or even like an outline with a chapter, like you could even go talk to someone today.
I'm at like 160 pages.
Yeah, you should just chapters, like, okay, after this, your challenge after this
today,
just send 2 notes, slide into 2 DMs, and just be like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about this book project I'm working on. And that's it.
Like through Instagram or like the official email? Because it's hard to find their emails.
I'm a fan of DM, like where you just slide in casually, you know? And then just kind of like, I call it, I'm a fisherman, where you just like, or a fisher lady. It's where you just kind of like, because I like to see what people's energy is like, and I like to see what's going to happen a little bit. I'll send an email, of course, because there are email people, but like just put it out there. The worst that can happen is they're not Instagram people, they don't see it or whatever. I mean, I've slid into so many people's DMs, like Shonda Rhimes. Like I read her book and I was so inspired by her book. She's the person that wrote, like, does the writing for Grey's Anatomy. So I was like, I'm just gonna put it out there. Didn't respond, whatever. But I'm just like, I don't care. I need to tell her how much I loved her book, and it's there. And like, I can promise you those agents are watching their DMs. 100.
Yeah. I mean, you're totally right. And, I have never gotten an opportunity that like I didn't ask for. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't do something like the first move of like maybe doing a DM or maybe asking around. Or my first mural was a 50-foot mural, because I'm like, I think I should paint a mural. Yeah, I'm going to actually. And then I was like, who probably knows people downtown? Jill. She owns a communications thing here. And she's like, yeah, I do know someone. John's looking for a person who paints all. I was like, what? So like literally, you just like if you want to do something, you have to
put it out there. Yeah. That doesn't mean, I think what's confusing sometimes, like, okay, when I say just put it out there, like a lot of those connections might not work out, but it's about that one connection that's supposed to work out, like with that mural. Like in Oregon, if you want to get into murals, we have something called the like a mural alliance group. So you can sign up, and there's people in there that look for assistance doing, that need help doing murals. So you can like get more involved. So there's more ways of just like, if you're sparked, like, oh, I want to see what doing a mural is like to do, that you can just get started with, like today.
It's hard, but it's so
fun. I did my
first
mural like at the beginning, like right before COVID, and I was like, this is labor.
It is like I'm like, I'm gonna lose probably a little weight doing this. Like I did get in like sick shape because it was like so much lifting and climbing, and I was like, man, this is physical, but I really enjoyed that aspect of it being physical, because a lot of this is so not physical. So it's like a great mix up. So I want to actually hear about some of the cool magical things that have happened, because you just like, you kind of throw your fanny out into the wind, and you're like, if they say yes, cool. If they don't, neat. And it has landed pretty neat little projects for you.
I've had some pretty cool stuff. I mean, my artwork's been in like Portlandia, which is like a TV show that's based on Portland, Oregon. That was one of my first projects I did when I first started showing my work. And what's really funny is I met the curator that ultimately ended up curating Portlandia, because I did my first art show with him. And he still curates like all over Portland today. Like he curates like, I want to say 100 different venues. Like he's like crazy busy. And it was just someone that I met when I first started, and he's like, yeah, I want to hang shows and I want to do this. And it's so what we're talking about when you join an art group, it's like, you meet people that are like organizing things and doing things. So yeah. So another project I did Lana Del Rey's spoken word album last year.
That is super cool.
And she was like amazing. She reached out to me and she was like, I love your work. You know, and I was like, this is not Lana Del Rey. And so she's like, it is Lana Del Rey. Let's FaceTime. And I was like,
okay. Yeah. That's one of those moments where you like kind of like throw your fist in the air and you jump up and down. You're like, oh my God.
Well, I didn't think it was her, because a lot of so this is what I've learned with kind of dealing with kind of more famous people, because I have a few famous collectors, is like a lot of them are either super private and they don't use like their main accounts. They'll use like their husbands, or have a fake account or whatever, like I forget what the name is. It's not called a fake account, but they have like a spoof account.
Sort of.
And you know, I didn't think it was her, because usually people with that kind of following have like a team. And but she was super kind, super involved, super into the process. It was a long time in the works. It was about a year.
Wow.
You know, I still talk to her occasionally, and yeah, she's always been gracious, kind, all that stuff. Like, I can't even say enough nice things about her. She's like super great.
Oh, that is really neat. And
yeah.
And like, I know some right last month, I think. So I'm sure tons of artists know, and maybe people who aren't artists, but we get a lot of spam weird emails, and that's probably what made you not believe. Like, I don't know why they take advantage of some of the poorest people on, like, as a business. Like your husband said, like, you're going into, you know, it is not easy to pursue the arts, and you have to really work at it to be successful. And there's the whole like, I'll buy my wife an anniversary scam
that's like,
or whatever. Yeah, that's so old, but it still gets people. It is like the tale. So I had this email, and I was at my mother-in-law's, and I opened it. I was like, scam. And I just was like, it's a designer looking to do a restaurant. And I was like, oh, I'm so sick of this stuff. And I just put my phone down.
What?
And
a designer with a restaurant? That could be a licensing opportunity.
Yeah, no. So I work at noon when my baby naps normally. And so that was at like 9:30 a.m. So I just put it down. And then when I went back to work that day, in my studio, I actually looked into it and looked at the link in the company. I was like, oh, they're real. Whoops.
Yeah.
Whoopsie,
okay.
Because I had emailed back. I was like, I actually also a lot of places approach you to just hang your work, and they're like, we'll sell it for you. And I'm like, that's not really the way. Like, I've got exposure. Thank you for your kind opportunity, but I actually sell my work to designers or collaborate to custom curate spaces, like, in a way, right? And they're like, no, we're real, and we do buy paintings, and we'd like to buy some of yours. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. I was like, yes, great. So sorry.
And you're really nice.
And then it was like a long time, and they didn't message back. I was like, I pissed them off. I insulted them. And then they ended up getting some, but I was just like, whoops.
I bet you didn't piss them off. I think it's probably like, a lot of that stuff is kind of timing. Like, you know, maybe they weren't responding because they were figuring out like their budget or the space or the time or what fits or what makes sense.
It totally was. It was just like, you're like, whoops, I insulted the designer. Cool, good move. But I'm actually normally very polite, but so.
Oh, I wouldn't worry. Like, I mean, I've had people where they reach out and I'll like ignore it because it looks like a spam, and then they'll have to like send me a couple DMs. Like, they'll have to start hounding me on Instagram or send me like messages on like LinkedIn, and like, Erika, this is for real. Stop ignoring me, you know? Because it's like you get so much, you know, or like, let's collaborate, and and it just doesn't feel right. Or not, it doesn't feel right, but it feels like it's just a generic email when it's actually to you.
Yeah.
So, but I also think
we'll sell them to you for $10.
But what I also think too is that whatever is supposed to happen happens. Like you have to put yourself out there and you have to respond and stuff. But if it's a meant to be connection, it will happen. You will see it. It will like all make it. It will happen. You know.
And do you think, and I know like this kind of all really like sparked for you when you started showing up every day, right?
Yeah.
You showed up every day. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. So I make an original piece of art every single day and I share my journey online. I just finished my 7th year, which is kind of like makes me feel like grandma, especially in the social media world. At 100.
Yeah, and the reason why I started my project was because of the birth of my son, and I wanted to stay creative on a daily basis because, as you know, being a mother,
it is really hard. It is super hard. And so you have to be selfless as a mother. And so I wanted to be selfish and give myself the gift of creativity. And I was kind of at this point in my life where I realized, like, I was showing my work and stuff, but it was so hard to just like I realized that I needed to either dedicate time to being creative or I had to let it go for a bit and focus on just being a mother. And so I decided to show up every day. And people are like, oh my gosh, you do this in a day. And it's like, well, I do this now in a day. But back when I was like nursing and dealing with it was like he was 5 weeks old at the time that, it's like
you can take 5 minutes.
You can sit with yourself and think about art and just take a pencil or take a watercolor or a paintbrush. Like it doesn't have to be like a 4 or 5 hour session. It can be 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Like start thinking about like putting your brain in that creative place, and I also realized how undisciplined I am, like so undisciplined. And I think as an artist, especially being a working artist, we have to be athletes at what we do, especially if you want to make big work, like what you were saying with murals. It's like you're really like you physically have to be able to make that large work. And large paintings are like you need to have your muscles and you need to have that stamina.
It's intense.
You do for that 3 foot or 4 foot painting. And so, like, in a way, it helped me get ready to do what I'm doing today and making larger work. Like, I'm getting ready to, like, they want me to come. I just finished my solo show in New York and they want me to come back. And they want me to come back, like, sooner than, like, I don't, like, they're just like, yeah, when can you come back? Like, tomorrow? And I'm like, I have to, like, make the work, you guys. I can't just, like, snap my fingers and just have it be amazing.
Can you just make us 10 in a day? That would be great.
Oh, my gosh. Well, no, I look at people like Ashley Longshore, who I love. And she bought a few paintings for me, so it gets me like even more excited. And I know, like when I found out she bought something for her, because she has like a collection, like she wants to start a foundation and stuff. And I like cried. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a dream. And she's so kind and nice. And
good
funny.
For you.
But anyway, but what she does is she like will do like a 6-foot painting in a morning. And I'm just like, okay.
That
and she's like,
so
yeah.
great.
And she's like, well, Picasso can do it. Why can't I do it? And she'll say something like that. And I'm like, well, then I should be doing that. I need to go get it, And like, that's the kind of energy you need to surround yourself with is like knowing that you can, I mean, have I done a 6-foot painting a day? No, but I can do larger work in a day. But you have to realize like that stuff is possible, that you can do it.
Yeah, it is a bit scary, but you really can. It is possible.
So we have to be athletes.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
100%.
Be an athlete at what you do. And so my daily art practice helps me be an athlete at what I do because you have to train. You have to have your stamina. You have to be able to like, get to that place where you can make that artwork. I mean, and that's the thing is like, I think a lot of people that are just starting out and they're like, why haven't I done this? Or why haven't I done that? Well, it's like, you have to like keep working at your ideas and keep working at it. And the more that you work at it and you get better and better at what you're trying to say and do, and like having your ideas come alive from your mind more, like it will happen. It's just that you have to have we have to become athletes of what we do.
Yeah, for sure. And when you said like I needed to increase my prices, and I didn't, but I don't regret that year of like, and I did custom work before. This was just like everyone caught on that year. And now I can fucking rock out a portrait in a day. Like it just, and I'm really good at it. And I've been more into collaging lately just because that's like what I'm feeling magical about. And that is just my choice right now. And I actually didn't even plan this collection, this tailor collection. I'm just really inspired by my friends' self-portraits, but it is like, it does take time, and it does take consistency and that drive to show up and like hone in on your skills. And I totally agree with you. And I had Celine from the Art Queens, Ashley collected one of hers too, and that was really cool. And I just love other women who are doing stuff like that and supporting one another. I actually I don't think you can see it. I can take this and so this, I did one tiny, I can't go anywhere because of the cord. It's a giant gallery wall of all my little notes.
By the way. I do.
All the little notes and stuff that I've gotten from female creatives, and I put them all in one space because I did one tiny little course this year, and so then I got 3 job offers in education this year. So I was like, and so I created a space to make videos, but like I'm like, I want to channel like all of this power and all of these beautiful connections I've made over the past few years. And the fact that, yes, COVID happened and it's happening, but like it's just like been such a gift in this way that like getting into this universe I made so many good friends. It's really special. And you know, friends that, you know, make you brave and you know, push you out of your own.
You know what? You have all the goods to get there. It's like half of it is just putting yourself out there. I think that's why Kat and I connect ultimately, you know, is that we are very supportive of other people and ourselves of
getting to the next place.
You know, that's what I always think. And I always tell my husband, I'm always like, am I going to make it? Am I going to get there? And it's not about like
a ladder. It's like it's more about like,
will I, you know, will I make, you know, better work? Will I have like more ideas? Will I have like, I'm always like,
you know, like that's the thing.
You can do it. I believe in you. And you are such a lovely person, and you should be connecting with
those people. I mean, that's what feels good. And what's funny is you were saying you have all these notes. I keep all my notes right there behind me, and like this is my inspiration wall behind me. I don't do like where I pin it because I like to like arrange it, so I keep shelves up.
So I keep like my favorite paintings that I don't sell and that I won't sell, and I keep like little tokens and notes and whatever. Yeah. I mean, you have to surround yourself with the things that are inspiring you, for sure.
Yeah. And I resonate with the fact that you need to surround yourself with people that also will not only lift you up, but push you beyond all expectations, because sometimes people can see something in you that you don't see in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they can, and they're like, you know, you can do this. I know you can, like you just said to me, like, I think
direct. I'm very direct.
Yeah. I think you should like at least explore the route of self-publication, or, you know, like push beyond yourself.
Yeah. Here's the thing is I definitely think you should just take a couple meetings. Like, I think that should be your homework. Because even if you don't pursue that route, they're going to give you a lot of advice that you probably will need for self-publication.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're going to give you, because that's their business. That's what they do. And it'll also help you. I always am a big fan of like learning how to talk about your artwork better, like how to pitch an idea better. Because as artists, like that's another thing is like you have to learn how to talk about your artwork, but it's not just learning how to talk about your artwork. It's learning how to describe a project you want to work on, like pitching a book. It is technically a pitch, and it's like, how do I articulate that in a way that's going to resonate with me and what I'm doing, and you know, tell them how excited I am about working on this with them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of talking about that stuff because it's exciting. I mean, a book is exciting. You know, you should be celebrating.
I mean, it's the potential of changing people's lives. Like that is its potential.
Aww,
and there's nothing more like worthy of this life than, you know, inspiring someone to live a better life. Like that's very special.
Oh yeah, you have to live your best self. Life is too short So
Words are powerful.
whatever it is, like whatever you're meant to do, and that doesn't like, I mean, people waste so much time about worrying about what other people think, or I mean, there are a lot of people that have responsibilities that I don't have, that they have to take care of. But in our lifetime, there are so many ways to like get what you are, what's meant, that's burning within inside you, right?
Mm-hmm. And you know what? If so, okay, there's people with not opportunities, and if you're like, I don't deserve them because there's people who are struggling, you know what? You do deserve it, and you deserve more, and that allows you, like, in terms of like money, so money mindset, like, there's so many people struggling in the world. Yes, there are. So you know what? Lift yourself up, make space, and if you want to donate money or help people or do something proactive, that will make the space and allow you to, donate. Or I'm working with, Erika B. Hess from
Yes.
I Like
Yes.
Your Work.
I was just on her podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was.
I'll have to listen to that one too. So we're teaming up. We're doing a big call and an exhibition in May. So it's called Like a Mother.
Aww.
Really cute. Yeah. So we have like
these
little, I designed some crews, because crews, I don't know about you, but because I'm at home, I live in like a comfy bunny hug.
Which we call forever.
Hoodie. So I call it a bunny hug. We call it bunny hugs. Bunny hugs are a crew neck. So we made crew necks, and then it's a call. So from every sale and every call, we're donating to the sexual assault center in our community. But yeah, like the more you work and the more you have the ability to support others who are struggling. And I think that's more important than struggling just because other people are struggling.
Well, and what I kind of do, so what I do is like there are like nonprofits here that support artists, like, and so if they have people like that want to become artists, I donate my time to mentoring, or if they have questions or whatever, I 100% do that stuff. I also think, like everyone deserves to live like their best life. And we deserve that. We're not entitled to it, but we deserve it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, we've all done a lot of work to get wherever we are. But the best that we can do is like support one another and be kind to one another. Ultimately, is what we were talking about at the beginning. Because being an artist, being as an entrepreneur, it's tough.
Yeah. I like
because we are entrepreneurs.
I like that you gift your time, because
time is worth a lot more.
It's our most precious commodity. And donating a bit of your time, like you can be that person for that child or creative person who, you make or break the difference between them pursuing their career, or, a kid keep going with their art and deciding to go to university or whatever. Like you could be that person. Even if you don't have the money, you might have some time, right?
Or like there's also art auctions that you can be involved with. But that kind of stems to what we're talking about earlier, because like some auctions, like you want to be careful because you feel like you don't want to get taken advantage of. It's like that person where you get the email, like I have to buy something for my wife or whatever. Or there's a lot of people that's phony. But then there's also like auctions where you don't know if like that's the right auction for your artwork or if it's the right thing. But there's definitely like projects you can be a part of that give back to. Like I just did one a couple months ago with some of my friends, and we organized a little art auction for the women of Afghanistan. When all of that stuff was happening, I think we raised like $10,000, which is awesome.
Good for you.
I know. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. And we did it. We teamed up with Vital Voices to do it. And it was amazing. And I'm so glad I did it. And I think the thing is we can all like afford to give back, but it's just like, just don't sweat it. It will happen. I mean, all of the things, like everything you're meant to like be a part of and do, like whatever inspires you to do it. Like it'll happen.
And write it down and visualize it.
Oh so yeah, like really I'm a huge fan of lists. Like I'm a huge fan of lists.
Oh my gosh, we have so much in common. We're like
I know, twinsies.
we're like the same person in different countries.
Yeah.
I am so grateful that you agreed to meet with me today. It was such a pleasure meeting you, and I wanted to talk to you more, and I know that'll happen because this was so fun, and it's been an hour, and that flew right by.
Yeah.
So crazy. I have one final question. I made it through the whole podcast without stumbling. I've gotten a lot better. I used to not be able to string together a sentence. So the fact that I had a podcast was amazing. I have a final question sponsored by Red Bicycle Communications. It's called A Day in the Life. So it's really special. I want you to describe your ideal perfect day.
Oh, my perfect day? Like, it would just, okay, with or without kids, that's the key.
Okay, so that creepy movie came out on Netflix. So pretend the comet's hitting the Earth tomorrow.
Oh,
and it's 8 a.m.
It's definitely with my kids. I think if I had, well, that's a little different because it's kind of like what would you bucket list or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to pick my ideal day, it would definitely be somewhere warm, European. We would all get a delicious bakery breakfast of like croissants or pain au chocolat, right? Yum, like fresh whatever, fresh lattes and fresh tea. And
we usually, when we get away, we'll do a drawing contest where we all draw, and then we
and then we have to talk about our work, and then we vote on who's the best. or whose work resonates the best, but we all have to go around and describe what we're working on. And we do that, and then we go explore. We go to a museum. And so my perfect day, like if I had to have a last day, it would be probably something with my family where we just kind of like were together and had some beautiful food and looked at some beautiful art and drew art together and made art together. If I had to pick a perfect day by myself, where it's just like what brings me the most joy is probably a delicious bakery breakfast. And then, like being in my studio or going to like a museum or rummaging around an estate sale and that kind of thing. Like an artist date.
Yeah. See? And I love your answer because already you're doing some of those things. So, you're already pursuing your ideal life. Oh, yeah. And that's so beautiful.
100. You have to go for it. I mean, life is so short and so but the thing is like, I think it's like what we were saying before, you have to put in the time to get there, to get what you want. And it doesn't have, I mean, when I say, I want a croissant, that's not an expensive, like crazy thing. You know what I mean? Like where you can just like sit on your patio and enjoy the sunshine and enjoy that moment. Or, and creativity is 100% free. So anyone can do it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm like kind of a simple person when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The small joys of life, right?
Yes. That's
Yeah. Okay. This was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. And we will chat again soon.
Oh my gosh. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I have some really great news. So we did a portrait class with my very talented friend, Kristen Hickman, and her daughters. They came over one day as for like fun, and it ended up being so magical. And my technique that I showed them ended up being so, easy to learn, I guess, that they both made these stunning, stunning portraits. And I was just like, Kristen, we have to capture this. Like, it is amazing. And she agreed. And long story short, we have a portrait class, so stay tuned for that. It's like, seriously, when you see the artwork that Kristen and her daughters made, you'll be like, what is that? Like a professional artist made that? No. Well, she might be now. Like, I guess. Seriously, it's so good. Anyway, and our Like a Mother exhibition is opening on April 28th to subscribers. Yep. if you're not a subscriber, you can be. Just visit brandyhofer.ca and join in, and you'll have early access to that collection because some of the work does sell out before we release it to the public. So get on it. It's filled with beautiful female creatives from all over the globe, and wow, is all I have to say. So check it out, and yeah, get up on our newsletter. Be up on all the cool things that are happening. And with that, I bid you good night or good day. Good day. Bye-bye.